The 2023 NBA season so far has been utterly absurd. Scoring has been way up, there's been a lot of disappointing teams, and also some surprise teams in the league. And about nearly 3 months ago was when I made my first Power Rankings tier list at the quarter mark of the season on New Year's, and it has aged questionably in some respects, which is why this follow-up is being made. Most teams have less than a dozen games to go now. I think a lot of them has less than 10 now. The Western Conference is unpredictable as ever, and there's still some sorting in the East play-in that awaits for the seeding. The trade lines is way past that. A lot of stuff has happened in the league since New Year's when that video was made. So if you are new and didn't see my first tier list, the criteria is as follows. In no particular order of importance except for the last one, which is the least important. The team's body of work over the course of the year, how talented the roster is, how they've done most recently. I'm judging as to how they'll do in the postseason. Also, unlike most tier list videos you may have seen, I already have the tier list already made, and then be going and splitting my placements of all the teams on the ladder as the video goes on. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it right now. So as you can see, this is my tier list that I have as constructed at the moment. So I think how I'll go about this is I'll just do the top and bottom tiers, because those are the easiest ones to do. Then I'll do the like the middle ones and upper tiers after that. So, starting with S tier, I have the Bucks, Philly, and Boston. I think those are all pretty self-explanatory. Milwaukee is the best team in the NBA right now. They have the best record. We're the best player in the league, and my personal pick for MVP at the moment. I think they actually might have the best defense in the NBA, though. I think that may still belong to Cleveland, but I'm pretty sure that they're top 3 in like defensive rating, efficiency, and probably most other defensive categories. While they've had a few ups and downs here and there, they're still just been consistently the best. Philadelphia has been hotter as of late, or maybe like their past 10. So I may give them the nod over Milwaukee, but actually no, I'm not gonna, because Milwaukee's still better. It's still the better team, better record. They'll probably go farther in the playoffs than Philadelphia. Boston, I don't have them over them, but I think this is kind of more of a 1A, 1B, 1C situation. Boston, since the All-Star break, has been a little bit spotty here. It's kind of been a little bit ups and downs. They've had some bad losses and some also impressive wins, some blowout wins. So I'm putting them a little bit underneath Philadelphia, but it's not by a wide margin or anything. I think this is pretty good. I don't think this is a controversial thing. Now down in D tier, I have the Jazz. The Jazz started off pretty good. I think at one point, through November 12th, they actually were the 1 seed in the West. They started off 10-4. They eventually kind of fell back to the mean, but they were still kind of in the play-in or 6th seed, kind of somewhere in there. Until then, the wheels eventually just completely fell off, and I think they're on a 4-game losing streak. Although I think they may have actually just won a game today as of recording this, because this is being recorded at 9:18 of March 29th. So, it may have changed, but they're not completely out of it, because the West plan has been very unpredictable. A lot of teams have kind of sloshed around a bit, but I just don't see them really making moves. They only got 6-8 games left of the season. I just don't see play in the cards for them. But, it was fun while it lasted. At least they did find a franchise cornerstone in the finisher, Lauri Markkanen, so that's a bright spot for them. Orlando, however, is actually, they were always expected to be pretty bad, and for a while they were pretty bad, but now they're actually 3 games out of the play-in, so they've actually been better. Paolo Banchero has been amazing this year. Now, all that being said, I think I'm actually going to put them over Utah just because they've been better as of late, and they actually have a shot at it. While Chicago, who is the 10th seed currently, has been on a great tear. Since they got Beverly, I think they're 10-5 since the trade deadline, or something like that, or just since Beverly got there. I think I'll put them over Utah because they're better at the moment. They're not going to go and see, if they actually do manage to get the 10 seed units very, very briefly, I'll put them in C, but I think D is fine for them because they're not if they were tanking, then, they wouldn't be as good as they are right now because they're only, a few games behind, the Pacers, Wizards, and the Bulls for the number 10 seed, so, yeah, I think that's fair. Indiana, they also were doing pretty good for a while to start the season, but then Halliburton got injured, and that kind of just took the wind out of their sails for a bit. They're still in the hunt. I think they're a few games out, though. I forgot whether or not they're actually behind Washington or not, but did I put them over the Jazz? I don't know. they'll keep them behind Utah for the meantime. But Benedict Mathurin, he's actually up a good Rookie of the Year campaign. Turner and all them, they've had a decent season compared to relative to the expectations. So I think they're fine in here. They're not good enough to be in C, but they're not tanking. The Wizards, one of the teams that I root for, we're doing all right. We're at least consistently probably look like probably going to be a 9 or 10 seed. Then the Wolves kind of fell off a little bit. We lost some important games. I think there was like a 2 game series in DC versus the Hawks, and their team that root for that. Like I think we lost both of them, and they split with the Raptors. So that was a part of that something they went on. But there's technically still the hunt. They're still within striking distance. Um, Wizards just need to get hot right now. Like there is no margin for error at the moment. They're trying to make the play in. So I'll put them over Indiana because their team is better. I think I actually put them over Utah, and by proxy, I'll also put Indiana over them as well. I think that's fair. I mean Kuzma, as of late, has been kind of bad, but yeah, I think this is fine for them. I'm not sure I'm gonna put them over Orlando because you know what? Yeah, that's fair. Probably over Orlando. Um, they're not good enough to be in C because C is all just mid team or teams that have actually gone on late surges. And surges mostly to kind of get into this kind of meh bunch. But I think this is fine. And then the tanking teams, we got Portland. They just shut down Dame for the year. I think like it started on like 5 or so days ago when they played the Bulls, and like basically none of their best players played at all. I think some of them were injured, whatnot. But Dame shut down for the season. They have like the 5th best lottery odds right now for the number 1 overall pick, and to get land Wemby with the number 1 overall pick. So I think literally just based off the team's intentions right now, like yeah, they're trying to tank. So I think this is fair. You got and then along with all these other tanking teams, I don't really need to say much about like the Spurs. The Hornets are actually on a 3-game win streak after smacking the Mavs in back-to-back games and beating Oklahoma City. Like they're still tanking. This kind of a brief moment where they can forgive themselves and get some wins. Houston, who also had recent signs of life earlier in the month, they're better, but they're all better than Detroit, who's just been garbage the whole year, consistently. So that's the tank tier, that's the D tier, and that's the C tier. Sorry, the S tier. Then I gotta go through tiers A through C. Don't know what order I'm gonna do it in, but I think I'll actually do B first, maybe. Uh, Let me think about this actually.
Few moments later.
So after some deliberation, I think I'll just do the C tier teams and just get that out of the way, and then do tiers A and B. So for C tier, just to start off, I have the Mavs at the Mavs Pelicans bringing up the rear in C tier just because they've really fallen off pretty hard from where they once were. I think the Mavs were like 8-15 since Kyrie got there. It's been pretty bad. They're not even in the play-in right now. I believe Utah is ahead of them, and currently OKC, I think, is occupying the 10 seed, or either that's the Lakers or something like that. Like, there's a few teams that are ahead of Dallas right now, and they're like 3 or so games under 500 to make the play-in. At this point in the West, you have to at least be at 500. Like, and they did. I mean, they did just lose to Philadelphia after a win, which I forgot who they beat. I mean, there's no shame in really losing to the Sixers, but still, relative to the expectations of what bringing a talent like Kyrie Irving over, they thought it actually would finally at least put them over the hump to where Luka wouldn't have to constantly carry every game. But it's created more problems than actual solutions. It's trading Jordan Finney-Smith, who was their only defender, just the dam is completely burst. It's just flooding points for the opposition. So I think, considering how far they've fallen off now, I think bringing up C is fine. They're not in D tiers because they're not that bad, but they're still been really bad. Like Lucas said that he lost his joy for the game recently because it's just been really frustrating. Kyrie called them cluster fudge. It's a bit of a dumpster fire over there in Big D, and they still have time to make it up and at least get in the play-in. But I would honestly wouldn't be shocked if they lost in the first round of the play-in. So yeah, New Orleans is just a little bit over them. I think recently, like, they went on a 5-game win streak, then choked in the Bay. But like since Zion went out, and just during since the calendar turned 2023, they've been riddled with injuries. First it was Zion, and then Bi and also CJ also started missing a lot of time, and they just couldn't handle that because that's not how the team's built. When your three best players are all barely playing. They've and for a minute there, they were actually outside of the play-in. Well, they've gotten back into it, but I think they're like currently 8, I believe, right now. It's either 8 or 9, something like that. The Lakers are directly behind them, like at 500, I think like 38 or something like that. So right now, as this has been recorded, they're up big on Denver at the moment. We'll see if they actually can pull that out. If they do, I think I'm actually put them over OKC, but this at the moment of recording, it's like 5 minutes 50 seconds in the third quarter. But I think this is fine. Their season's pretty obviously not going like what's the expectations, and also how they started off the start of the season. Think like at the time Zion was injured, when he got hurt on January 3rd, I believe it was. They were the 2 seed. They were like 23 and 13 or something like that. On December 30th, they were actually the 1 seed at the time. They're above Denver, and there's another team that also was in the top. I think it may have been Utah or something like that, or Memphis, or it could have been the Kings. It was one of those, but they actually were atop the West for some time. The first kind of just right out the gates in the West, but the injuries killed their season. So even if they can just make the play-in, it won't be a total failure. I don't see them really making the playoffs through the play-in, but yeah, like OKC's been better as of late. They've actually got some momentum going on their side. Like since New Year's, I think they've actually been pretty good. Um, their style of play on a system that's been employed by Sam Gagnon, I believe that's his name. Is like Sam Presti. The way he said that he wanted this team to be built just full of very intelligent, versatile players that know their role, and just how their whole offensive system works has been pretty great. It's really been the fruits of that have been coming to fruition. Jalen Williams has put together a great rookie campaign. Like there's multiple videos have been put out about how productive he's been this year, so I won't go too deep into that. But Josh Giddey has been great. Reed's his ability as a playmaker. And Shea has been unbelievable. He's been averaging like 30 on like last I saw was 50% efficiency, while also averaging like a steal and a half or nearly 2 steals a game. All the while, Chet hasn't played a single second of basketball because he got hurt in some. Actually, no, it wasn't summer league. It was the Drew League. He got that list ring fracture regarding LeBron. So, I mean, I'm not going to put them over the Nets or any of these other teams, which I feel like are not only better roster-wise, but are doing better at the moment. But I think this is fine. Like, this isn't necessarily say the Thunder aren't that good, that just to be disrespectful. It's just because the C is kind of it's a really big logjam. I think this is okay for them. Brooklyn with Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges, a lot of people thought, oh wow, the Nets are just gonna go right into the dumpster. They've done moderately well. To be fair, they were still on the massive lead that they had of when Kyrie and KD were there, but still, Mikal Bridges has turned into looking to be a future star league that I think we should probably be on the lookout for a 2024 All-Star nod. Nick Claxton has still been amazing. Cam Johnson, he's still trying to find himself, and DFS has kind of just disappeared in the rotation, but still got Spencer Dinwiddie, who's been great. They've still been holding down the fort. Jacques Vaughn is a great coach, and he's got them, just staying afloat. I think they're the 6th seed at the moment. I think they fell from their perch, which was 5 for a while, and then either 5 or 6 or something like that. They briefly fell into the play-in, but then after annihilating Miami, they got right back into the top 6 playoffs to avoid that. They're all right. Maybe having Toronto over them seems a little bit odd, but I feel like as of late they've been better, and also they have a more talented roster at the moment. I'm not trying to sound biased because I do root for the Raptors, but I just feel more comfortable putting Toronto over Brooklyn. It's been a very disappointing season, however, though. I think kind of the fatigue of playing such heavy minutes for so many years, several years with no real bench, and Otto Porter Jr. was supposed to help that, but he got hurt and really hasn't done much or hasn't really contributed really at all. So, like, their bench still does not really get any minutes at all. It's been that way for the past several years, pretty much since 2018 or since 2019. 2019, I think they were like 18th in bench minutes or bench scoring, something like that. The year before that, they were top five. Um, but since 2019, it's been consistently in the lower half, like in the 20s, and it's been like bottom five or bottom seven the past few seasons. And when you're playing such many minutes like that, it's eventually going to catch up to you, and it has. Siakam has still been, I think, an all NBA caliber player. He got snubbed from the All Star, which kind of sucked, but the East at the time was pretty stacked at the time of when the selections were ongoing. And for Fred VanVleet, the last game that I just saw of them, it was on ESPN or TNT. They played somebody and actually really went off. Can't remember who it was against, but Fred kind of looks like he's Fred, who was really struggling with his shot for a while this season. Looks like he's starting to pick it up more, and after the All-Star break, they kind of got that win back and starting to get back to what they should have been from the get-go. I have Golden State above them just because they still have the championship DNA. They're still incredible at home. They've just been a little bit better than Toronto, although I feel like they're kind of in the same group of kind of disappointing, supposedly good teams. The Golden State obviously had way higher expectations than them. Andrew Wiggins, still have no word about that. Last I saw was a tweet from somebody, I can't remember who it was though, that said that we're still practicing with the team, doing workouts and stuff like that, but he's still ruled out indefinitely. So though GP2, he has come back. He came back the other night or whatever against the Pelicans. It was a huge win for them, because I think Golden State is in the play actually known right. They're the 6th seed, but barely hanging on to it by a thread because Minnesota is right behind them for the like Minnesota's 7th to like a game and a half or just a game behind them. So that was crucial. I think New Orleans would have moved up if they had have won that. Then I was back down to 500. Golden State struggles has been so well documented. Like they're a bottom 3 defense. They're like the 28th ranked defense on the road, and top 3 or top 5 at home. So like they're not a consistent team. All they can do is really just rack up as many wins at home as they can. But they did the last 2 road games they did win was against Dallas and also Houston, but Dallas didn't have Kyrie and they're already in a lot of dysfunction, and the Rockets are the Rockets, so that's not really all that impressive. In fact, that they arguably shouldn't have won that if it wasn't for some controversial refereeing. I think it's middle of the sea is okay for them. It's fine. Like they're kind of just They're a very inconsistent team, despite Curry's carrying. The Bulls actually, since Patrick Beverley got there, has been 10-5 or something like that since he got there. Their defense is a top 10 unit since he's arrived. He's really got them energized and actually playing with intensity, which Lonzo would have provided if he actually was able to play, and he hasn't played all year. I believe a while ago, maybe a couple months ago, he was shut down for the season or something like that. And actually, now that I'm really thinking about it, I think I'm actually going to put them over my Atlanta Hawks. Just because they've been on a real surge. The Beverly too small time, as anticipated, did backfire. But they've still been really great as of late. Levine, I think, has been averaging like 30 since he got there. Like I think it was said like Beverly told him to be more aggressive. He just wanted him to shoot the ball more and be more aggressive, and he's done that, and he's been doing it really efficiently and going off. The defense is better, Jordan's better, everything's better with the Bulls since Beverly's got to his hometown team. So they're doing great. I believe they're the 10 seed right now, or the 9. I believe they are 10. Last that I saw the standings, however, they have good, decent cushion on the Pacers and Wizards, but anything can happen. Somebody can get injured or whatever. So it's not totally clear cut. But I think they probably will make the play in, even though I would hope that Washington can get in. But they're C. I'm not gonna put them up in B just because they've been on this recent tear. When for the majority of the year they were mid to below average and just painful to watch. If I remember correctly, earlier in the season they got 150 dropped on them by the Timberwolves, still during Cat's long absence. So I think someone else was injured for Minnesota as well that game. it was just bad. We're not playing with any hustle or energy. Like Caruso was the only one actually, putting forth that type of effort on a nightly basis, and you can't just rely on just one guy to do it to do everything, and no one else is really picking up the slack. They really did look dead in the water for a while. It didn't look like they were going to even make the plays. It looked like Washington, Toronto, even Indiana were just more stable and looked like they just looked better. Since then they've gotten back to snuff. So good for the Bulls and DeRozan. I am a DeRozan fan, so it's nice to see his team actually stop being trash. But above them is the Timberwolves, one of Beverly's old teams. Uh, Since Cat came back, they were like 3-1 or 2-1. They've been amazing since he came back. Honestly, being trying to beat the Suns with Kevin Durant back is obviously a tall task. Uh, but they've been definitely better. For a while, they were kind of like just hanging around, but definitely they were missing Cat. So they traded D'Lo at midseason, which was kind of a baffling trade. But Conley's been fine, I guess. Ant-Man is a little bit in him. Gobert's. They've just been a really meh team. But Jaden McDaniels has returned to a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He's probably a future Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I think he's logged the most minutes against the most All-Stars and has held his ground very well. He harassed Kevin Durant a lot last night and Dream made life hard for him. There probably was the factor that Kid was coming off of the ankle thing that kept him out for 3 weeks, so probably there was a little bit of rust, but rust isn't the type of thing that really affects Kevin Durant. Really, because a lot of people thought, well, he's missed like really 2 seasons after that Achilles tear. He probably won't be the same. And first game back, he was on. So with James Downs entering the defense and also Gobert being in the front court, so that kind of takes some of the pressure off of Gobert to defend the perimeter. Mid-range with Jamie McDaniels also running around as he's blossoming into a real stud on that end of the floor. I think they should be good. I can definitely see them taking the 6th seed because the Golden State's final 2 games are on the road, I believe, and Minnesota. I think they have the tiebreaker on Golden State. So I think if it came down to it, Minnesota actually would end up getting the 6th seed due to that. I think they're kind of bringing up the forefront of I'm keeping them over the Bulls because over the course of the season they have been better, so just giving them the body of the work. Cop out, but yeah, they're fine. Yeah, and then spearheading C tier are they both LA teams, the Lakers and Clippers. I'm giving the Lakers the nod just because overall since the new look Lakers were established, they've been a lot better. The Clippers have still kind of been up and down. Westbrook will have okay games and then bad games. BG quite like alright, trying to make a run, and then we'll have some bad losses. It's really kind of been a bit too yo-yo-y for me. They're even better than most of the other teams in C tier, in my opinion. They're just more talented, which is why I have them as high as I do in C tier. Lakers have held the fort down without LeBron decently well. And if they can lock in a play-in seed, they can make some noise. And I think that's fine. They're not good enough to be in B tier, but I think this is fine. If they can get even hotter to end the season, then maybe if I do end up getting to doing a power rankings for this at the end of the year, I will have them in B tier. Depends. So now that I have C tier out of the way, I'm just gonna do tiers A and B now. So now going in ascending order, beginning with Tier B, spearheaded by the Beale Street Bears, the Memphis Grizzlies. They're not in A just because, this kind of is a little bit self-explanatory, but they've clearly lost this stuff. Their momentum got really messed up when the jaw allegation stuff happened, and Brooks got suspended, I think, right after that, because he picked up a technical in that Denver game or the game following that. I know Desmond Bain, I think he got ejected for one while Ja was out. Brooks has continued with his antics, also during that Heat game where he showed no regard after he crashed into a cameraman, and I think that camera actually got damaged or something, or the guy got injured or something like that. Brandon Clark, he tore his Achilles on the game that happened right before Ja did that Insta Live thing. And I think that was a really underrated loss that no one was really talking about because, his defense and rebounding is still valuable. And not having him for the rest of the year, not knowing if he's going to come back the same for 2024, that's kind of a big deal, but I haven't really seen anyone talk about that very much. Because it happened at the same time where, Ja was constantly getting accused of all this stuff, like with the gun thing and, the instance of threatening people and all that. It was like, yeah, they definitely fell off. Like, all the teams in A are pretty much have just been consistently kind of coasting through the regular season, without really much hiccups for the most part, except for Denver, and that was very recent, and kind of quickly things really smoothed out for them. So yeah, I think B is fine for the Grizzlies. Phoenix, who's also in B, they for a while they were underwhelming this year. They also dealt with a lot of injuries. Booker, he missed significant time right before Christmas and a long stretch into the new year. Chris Paul's missed time and generally kind of looked washed, although he's gotten better as the season's gone on. Well, they're underwhelming, but then they were able to swing for KD. Yes, Sarver finally left, and the new guy they got in, who unlike Sarver, who was super stingy, was the exact opposite. He was going to do anything it took to get that deal done when Sarver couldn't last summer. So they swung for him, even though after only a few games of playing with them, he got injured and he came back the other night against Minnesota. Although that was an underwhelming performance for him. Although I think that was just a combination of rust and also the fact that Jaden McDaniels is just really that good of a defender, and I think Gobert also was on him as well sometimes. So yeah, he had some tough assignments. Coming back from a 3-week absence after the ankle thing. Playing his first home game in Phoenix. So, I think overall, B is fine. Memphis has been better than them over the course of the year, mostly. So, I think this is a good spot for Phoenix. Let's move on to the team right behind them, the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks are your typical Tom Thibodeau type team. All about, defense, hustling, energy, grit, not giving up. All that type of stuff, very kind of similar to the ship he ran in Chicago when Rose and Boozer and Joakim Noah and Walding and all of them were on the Bulls. Good round though. He's had a really big time resurgence season. Jalen Brunson's been great. He's really been the catalyst to get them back in shape, still kind of what they were in 2021. They're not going to get home court advantage in the playoffs like they did in 2021, but they're going to be the 5 seed, so that's pretty good for them. The Knicks are no longer the doormat of the NBA. They're not taking crap from anybody. A little known fact that I think no one's talked about is the fact that the Knicks are the best rebounding team in the NBA. Actually, most people by Randall and Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, who's also is kind of the glue guy for them as well. Ryan Quickly has really come onto the scene this month. He's had a lot of big games, a lot of 30 bombs and I think even 40 bombs versus Boston. I think he got 40 in that one on the road at Boston when Brunson was out. That one was on ESPN and went to double overtime when they were down big for a while. Yeah. So I think the Knicks. They're not going to go any farther than the first round. I think Cleveland has the advantage over them knowledge because they have home court advantage. I also think they're just offensively better than them. And they're also a great defensive team as well. So. But, by the fact that I do root for the Hawks, I don't really hate the Knicks that much when we go head-to-head. So, but it's just nice to see that, New York basketball is in a good place. In Miami, they've also been just mostly meh. This is kind of now the trend of the Jimmy Butler Heat era, where one year they're on fire. Everyone's knocking down their trays. An incredible defense. They're making deep playoff runs. They're a dark horse title contender. And then the following year, they're just like everyone's hurt again. And because we all know how Miami loves those undrafted snipers, and then they fall off for the most part, and they're just not on, and they get curb stomped to the first round. They've kind of been fighting for the 6-7 spot with Brooklyn for a bit. And they've come up and down, but they've been more consistent than most of the teams in C tier for the most part, except for maybe the Clippers. But Clippers have also been very yo-yo-y this season, so good in the Heat than over them. And so now for the final 3 teams in Tier A, I'm going to keep this brief. The Nuggets have the possible 3-peating MVP Jokic, even though I think Embiid or Giannis deserves it over him. Can't deny, his impact on winning, how he makes his teammates better, his ever-increasing, offensive arsenal that he's got going. He constantly expands. Jamal Murray, he's returned from the ACL tear after missing the playoffs in 2021 and all of last year. He's been good. He's had some vintage Murray games and also some mad games. Gordon's been great. The defense has significantly been helped by KCP's presence and Bruce Brown. I think Bruce Brown's kind of had a down year. They're not relinquishing any control of the 1 seed in the West. They're not S tier because the recent game they did here where they got blown up by a bunch of teams in a row, but they recovered from that. I think this is fine for them. And then you got the Cavs, the best defensive team in the NBA, bolstered by Mobley and Jarrett and also Okoro. Like that defensive front court is nightmarish for opposing teams. And Mitchell, he's actually had the best season of his career statistically. I think pretty much across the board. He's scoring more points, more efficiently, rebounds, assists, steals. He's become better on defense this year too. They got to buy in on that end of the floor a little bit more as well. They're about to make the playoffs for the first time without LeBron since 1998 or 1999, something like that. So great focus story for the Cavs. The Cavs last year probably would have made the playoffs if everyone wasn't hurt at the end of the season, and it looks like they're actually about to do it. But yeah, it's 8 here. And last but not least, there's the Beam Team, the Sacramento Kings. They're about to clinch the playoffs for the first time since 2006. They had the longest playoff drought of any team in North American sports after the Mariners snapped that last season in the MLB. And they had the longest playoff drought in the NBA. They got 2 All-Stars. I'm not sure when the last time that happened. That may have been like 2003, maybe, I'm guessing, or 2002. Sabonis, a lot of people thought the Sabonis-Halliburton trade was a fleece by Indiana, but it's actually been a win-win deal. Sabonis, he's got the most double-doubles of anybody behind only Jokic, and a lot of his passes have been very Jokic-esque. His playmaking has been amazing. There's been a lot of videos about how Sabonis has been the catalyst to unlocking the Kings, making them as good as they are right now. Fox has had a career year. Their rookie Keegan Murray, who a lot of people thought wasn't worth the 4th overall pick, and they should have taken Ivy. He's set the rookie record for threes in a season, breaking Donovan Mitchell's record. Keegan and Herter, their 2 main offensive acquisitions, have also been phenomenal for them. Mike Brown, he's definitely at this point, he's definitely going to be the front runner for Coach of the Year. This year for sure. I mean, Jacques Vaughn, he's also been amazing for the Nets and stabilizing them and trying to rebuild their culture, but I think it has to go to Mike Brown. He's got a team that most people didn't believe in as a playoff team and maybe a fringe play-in team to be a top 3 seed. They're the highest scoring team in the NBA. They're the highest offensive rating of any team in NBA history, actually. Last I checked, I believe that still stands to this day as of March 31st, recording this segment of the video. So yeah, I mean, the issue is that they don't really defend, and I think their depth is a little bit questionable, but they're still phenomenal. They're a great team. Their home court atmosphere is amazing, and I think I could put them over the Cavs. I think I actually will. There's kind of a 1A, 1B situation right there with them and the Cavs in A tier. And that, I believe, will wrap it up. That's all. This is my tier list. This is my final tier list for the video. Just to recap. Oh, actually, I think in S tier I have the Bucks number 1, but after that embarrassing loss to Boston last night, I will put Boston ahead of them. I think also Philly after that win over Dallas the other night. So yeah, it goes into Boston, Philly, Milwaukee. In A tier, it's the Nugs, Cavs, and Kings. In B tier, it's the Bears from Beale Street, the Suns, the Knicks, and the Heat. In C, it's the LA teams, the Wolves, the Bulls, the Hawks, the Dubs, the Raptors, the Nets, the Thunder, and Pels, and the Mavs. And then D, it's the Wizards, Magic, and Pacers, and Jazz. And then the tank tier, it's the Blazers, Spurs, Hornets, Rockets, and Pistons. If you did enjoy this video, consider smashing that like button down below and also subscribing if you want to see more content like this from me, because I do plan to post more content like this in the future. I don't know if you disagree with the tier list or any constructive criticism. Also, do put in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next one.